Hello, you all. Welcome back to the YouTube channel called Walk With Me. Today's video, I was really just doing a Bible study. This was really for myself, but then I started reading. This book that I'm reading here it's so in line with American the way it is. It's the book of, I don't know if I'm saying this right, but Hosea, Hosea. I don't want to say it wrong. Hosea. And I just want y'all to turn the page. Hosea chapter 4. We're going to go start at verse 1 through 4. So we're going to start here and we're going to read pretty much a lot of this book here. So I don't know how long this video may be. This video can end up being 10 minutes, 20 minutes, maybe 30, 40, 50, 60. Depends on whenever it's time to stop. But this book stands out so much because it's almost like he's talking directly to America. But it's not really to America, but it's clear that in this time, it was a wicked nation he's talking to. He's basically addressing the wicked nations. He's addressing the wicked nations, and he's making a statement here, a powerful statement. And if you can hear this statement, I'm gonna go ahead and start here. So turn to chapter Hosea chapter 4, verse 1. We're gonna start there, and then we're gonna go pretty much through a lot of this book until I stop. So it says here, "Hear the word of the Lord, you Israelites, because the Lord has a charge to bring against you who live in the land. There's no faithfulness, no love, no acknowledgement of God in the land. There is only cursing, lying, and murder, stealing, and adultery. They break all bounds, and bloodshed follows bloodshed. Because of this, the land mourns, and all who live in it waste away. The beasts of the field and the birds of the air and the fish of the sea are dying. But let no man bring a charge. Let no man accuse another. For your people are like those who bring charges against the priests. You stumble day and night, and the prophets stumble with you. So I will destroy your mother. My people are destroyed from lack of knowledge." So this is Hosea chapter 4, verse 1 through 6. This is very powerful. I don't know how to say it, but it's just such powerful words. It says, "Hear the word of the Lord, you Israelites, because the Lord has a charge to bring." That's a very powerful. It says, because the Lord has a charge to bring. The Lord is going to correct. The Lord has corrections to make. In other words, the Lord has the truth. The laws set in place have corrections to make because we've gone against the truth. Then it says there's no faithfulness, no love, no acknowledgement of God in the land. People don't acknowledge it. There's only cursing, lying, and murder, stealing, and adultery. He says they break all bounds. They break all bounds. They go out of line with the truth is basically what it's saying here. They break all bounds. They go out of bounds. You know, in how football, basketball, you go out of bounds, the referee blows the whistle because you can't do that. That's what you shouldn't do. And that's basically what he's saying. There's only cursing, lying, and murder, stealing, and adultery. They break all bounds. They go out of bounds, basically. They break the rules. They break all rules, not just one rule. This is especially true in America. They're killing each other. They're stealing. They're lying, cursing, and they're committing adultery. It says, because of this, the land mourns, and all who live in it waste away. Because of this sin, because we break our bounds, because sin is spread so much, we're all in mourning. We don't know the truth. We don't feel joy. Joy has been cast away from us because of all the sin that we have repeatedly done, day by day, repeated sin over and over and over. And it says it's all waste away because of this sin, because we break our bounds, because we don't stay in line with the truth, because we go off of what the world says and don't go off of what God says. It says the beasts of the fields and the birds of the air and the fish of the sea are dying. But let no man bring a charge. Let no man accuse another. Don't accuse anyone else. For your people are like those who bring charges against the priests. You stumble day and night, and the prophets stumble with you. So I will destroy your mother. My people are destroyed from a lack of knowledge. This is God just basically saying the innocent are destroyed because there's a lack of knowledge. It's not only people go from innocent to wicked. Baby steps, step by step, people go from innocent, such innocent kids, nice kids, And all of a sudden they end up in such a wicked place in their mind and in their life, and their actions show it, because they don't realize that day by day, every single step, every single action you take leads you somewhere. You have to be very diligent, very watchful over where you are going. You have to be very watchful over where you're going, because you don't realize that these baby steps, these small little steps, they take they lead you somewhere, and then before you know it, you've taken so many of these little small steps, they lead to bigger steps, and then you take these bigger steps and they lead to gigantic steps. And then you take these gigantic steps and they lead you straight to hell, and you're stuck there. He says, my people are destroyed from lack of knowledge. That's why the Bible says, supply all knowledge. You supply all knowledge because knowledge is the prelude to wisdom. You need the knowledge, not the knowledge of the world, but the truth. The knowledge from God, the knowledge that never changes, because the world changes day by day. They change their opinions. They change how they feel. They change what's right and what's wrong. But the truth, God never changes. It's always the same. It will stay the same forever. It says, because you have rejected knowledge, I also reject you as my priest. Because you have ignored the law of your God, I will also ignore your children. The more the priests increased, the more they sinned against me. They exchanged their glory for something disgraceful. They feed on the sins of my people and relish their wickedness. And it will be like people, like priests. I will punish both of them for their ways and repay them for their deeds. And he says this, and he's talking with such a, if you read it wrong, then you don't understand. You think he's talking from a hateful standpoint. But he's talking from these are powerful words. He's talking from not necessarily hateful. This is not hateful at all. This is love. It just shows how disappointed God is in all this. How disappointed it is. He says, I will repay them for their deeds. You will pay for what you have done. People think that people can possibly do something evil and get away with it because they don't go to jail, or they don't get caught, or they get away with the case. But that's not true. God is the true, God brings true justice, and he doesn't miss a beat. He doesn't miss a thing. He says they will eat but not have enough. They will engage in prostitution but not increase, because they have deserted the Lord to give themselves to prostitution, to old wine and new, which take away the understanding of my people. They consult a wooden idol, and they are answered by a stick of wood. A spirit of prostitution leads them astray. They are unfaithful to their God. They sacrifice on the mountaintops and burn offerings on the hills, under oak, poplar, and terebinth, where the shade is pleasant. Therefore your daughters turn to prostitution, and daughters-in-law to adultery. I will not punish your daughters when they turn to prostitution, nor your daughter-in-law when they commit adultery, because the men themselves consort with harlots and sacrifice with shrine prostitutes. A people without understanding will come to ruin. This instant, I hear Martin Luther King even say this a lot. He says, a people. A people. It's a very interesting way to put it. A people. Doesn't say people. He says a people. So he's basically saying a people. He's bringing us all together as one. He's saying a people as a whole, because though we are all our own individuals, we combine as a whole. It says a people without understanding will come to ruin. We live in a world with such low understanding today, and we are running directly into ruin. And if we don't, I won't say if we don't turn around, because there's really no choice. You have to turn around, because God corrects all, and his corrections will bring about discipline. God is the true discipline. He's the one that disciplines us all. But it says that people without understanding will come to ruin. We don't have understanding. And why don't we have understanding? We don't have understanding because we're constantly distracted. Since we were kids now, especially nowadays, we've been constantly distracted. We have phones in front of us, and we're on TikTok all day scrolling and looking at useless things that they're just literally just a distraction. It serves no purpose. It serves no it brings no good to you. It's just basically you're just distracting yourself for most of your life. It's basically that's how we've all grown up as kids. We've just been constantly distracting ourselves, and that's why the devil is so easily able to confuse the minds of us, because we haven't been watchful of our minds. We haven't been watchful of our hearts. We haven't been paying attention. We've just been on our phones scrolling and scrolling and scrolling, looking here, going to this, next thing, scrolling and scrolling, constantly distracting ourselves all day, to the point where there's no understanding, because you lose track. You fall into that wave of distraction that just carries you away. It says, though you commit adultery, O Israel, let not Judah become guilty. Do not go to Gilgal, and do not go to Bethaven, and do not swear surely as the Lord lives. The Israelites are stubborn like a stubborn heifer. How then can the Lord pasture them like lambs in the meadow? Ephraim is joined to idols. Leave him alone. When their drinks are gone, they continue their prostitution. Their rulers dearly love shameful ways. A whirlwind will sweep them away, and their sacrifices will bring them shame. All right, here we're at Hosea chapter 5, verse 1 is where we're starting. We'll keep going. Like I said, it's gonna be a pretty long video. So if you want to like come and listen 10 minutes today, and then that's all you have that much time, then listen 10 minutes today, and then tomorrow listen to the next 10 minutes, and then the next day listen to the next 10 minutes. And don't forget, I don't like to say this, but I think I should say it now. Maybe people are watching, they forget to subscribe to my channel. If you're watching, please subscribe, and if you want, turn on the notification so you know whenever I post, because I don't have a set schedule exactly. I kind of just go with the flow. It's kind of like it just comes to me, and then I start open up the voice app and I start recording. So subscribe to the channel, you don't have to like, but subscribe to the channel, turn on post notifications so you can see when these videos are posted. I really hope that these videos can help people. I hope that it can bring a light to the truth, and I hope it can serve a great purpose, and that it can go out to everyone to hear, because hearing the truth can really change lives. So here we go. So Hosea chapter 5, verse 1 is where we start. It says, hear this, you priests. Pay attention, you Israelites. Listen, O royal house. This judgment is against you. You have been a snare at Mizpah, a net spread out on Tabor. The rebels are deep in slaughter. I will discipline all of them. I know all about Ephraim. Israel is not hidden from me. Ephraim, you have now turned to prostitution. Israel is corrupt. Their deeds do not permit them to return to their God. A spirit of prostitution is in their heart. They do not acknowledge the Lord. Israel's arrogance testifies against them. The Israelites, even Ephraim, will stumble in their sin. Spirit of prostitution is in their heart. A spirit of prostitution. Let's see, what should that be? It doesn't mean quite a literal way, but it says the spirit of prostitution. It doesn't say that they're committing prostitution. It doesn't say that you have to be careful. That's not what he's saying. It says the spirit of prostitution is in their heart. A spirit of lust is within their heart. It says Judah also stumbles with them. When they go with their flocks and herds to seek the Lord, they will not find him. He has withdrawn himself from them. They are unfaithful to the Lord. They give birth to illegitimate children. Now their new moon festivals will devour them in their fields. Sound the trumpet in Gibeah, the horn in Ramah. Raise the battle cry in Bethaven. Lead on, O Benjamin. Ephraim will be laid waste. Among the tribes of Israel, I proclaim what is certain. Judah's leaders are like those who move boundary stones. I will pour out my wrath on them like a flood of water. Ephraim is oppressed, trampled in judgment, intent on pursuing idols. Let's stop there. So, intent on pursuing idol. What is an idol? An idol is basically anything that, a lot of people have various idols. It doesn't have to be a person. It doesn't have to be another god, but a lot of people's idols is their sexual desire. Some people's idol is their appetite for wine or appetite to drink. Some people's idol is a drug of their choice. Some people's idol is the taste of their tongue. And it says intent on pursuing idols. Idol doesn't mean that you're going to other gods, but it means that you've given something power over you. An idol is anything you give power over you. You give your sexual desire the power over you to make all your decisions. That is what makes it an idol. So you give power over it to the point where it's making the decisions for your life. This is what an idol is. I just want to clarify that. It says, I am like a moth to Ephraim, like rot to the people of Judah. When Ephraim saw his sickness and Judah his sores, then Ephraim turned to Azariah and sent to the great king for help. But he is not able to cure you, not able to heal your sores. For I will be like a lion to Ephraim, like a great lion to Judah. I will tear them to pieces and go away. I will carry them off with no one to rescue them. Then I will go back to my place until they admit their guilt, and they will seek my face. In their misery, they will earnestly seek me. This is where I feel like we're starting to head. This is where we're starting to head. We've grown up in a time where evil is so prevalent, so spread about, especially social media. It's so spread about. It's so filled in our minds. Evil is just evil, 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 evil things. And some things we don't even realize are evil, but it's so tricky. He says, "I will carry them off with no one to rescue them. Then I will go back to my place until they admit their guilt." So basically, he says, "I will." The way God disciplines is it's all in the mind. There's discipline in the physical too, because of course that's part of it, but most of it is in the mind. We have anxiety. We have many different mental health issues, and we don't realize that these mental health issues are not a result of something we were born with or something that we were bound to go to. These mental illnesses are a result of our disobeying of the truth. Any mental illness is a result of a lack spiritually, a lack of vision, and a lack of understanding. All right, now we're at Hosea chapter 6. We're going to start at verse 1 and keep going. It says, "Come, let us return to the Lord. He has torn us to pieces, but he will heal us. He has injured us, but he will bind up our wounds." It's interesting because this is how God works. That the consequences, the things that look bad, the mental illnesses, that's also God. So it says he has torn us to pieces. These are the results of our actions. These are the corrections of the Lord, the corrections of God. It says he has torn us to pieces, but he will heal us. Basically says that same thing that tore you to pieces and caused your mind to go insane, if you start to obey that same thing, you will be healed. It says he has injured us, but he will bind up our wounds. After 2 days, he will revive us. On the third day, he will restore us that we may live in his presence. Let us acknowledge the Lord. Let us press on to acknowledge him. As surely as the sun rises, he will appear. He will come to us like the winter rains, like the spring rains that water the earth. What can I do with you, Ephraim? What can I do with you, Judah? Your love is like the morning mist, like the early dew that disappears. Therefore I cut you in pieces with my prophets. I killed you with the words of my mouth. My judgments flash like lightning upon you. For I desire mercy, not sacrifice, and acknowledgement of God rather than burnt offerings. Like Adam, they have broken the covenant. They were unfaithful to me there. Gilead is a city of wicked men stained with footprints of blood. As martyrs lie in ambush for a man, so do bands of priests. They murder on the road to Shechem. I hope I said that right. Committing shameful crimes. I have seen a horrible thing in the house of Israel. There Ephraim is given to prostitution, and Israel is defiled. It's like it says I have seen a horrible thing in the house of Israel. Basically, he's seen the nation turn to things that are against what should be. It says Israel is defiled. He's addressing the people as a whole. He's saying the people as a whole are defiled. Not saying that every person in Israel is defiled, but the people as a whole, the majority, are defiled. It says also for you, Judah, a harvest is appointed. Whenever I would restore the fortunes of my people, whenever I would heal Israel, the sins of Ephraim are exposed and the crimes of Samaria revealed. They practice deceit. Thieves break into houses, bandits rob in the streets, but they do not realize that I remember all of their evil deeds. Their sins engulf them. They are always before me. This is a reminder that God doesn't miss a beat. God doesn't miss a thing. So if you're worried about what other people think, or you're worried about what the world thinks, what this thinks, that, always remember that that doesn't matter. What truly matters is that God sees everything. Do not worry about the judgment of the world, but focus your mind completely on the judgment of God, because that is what's really important. The judgment of God is much more scary than the judgment of the world, because the judgment of the world is just empty words and talks, and maybe it makes you feel a little bit uncomfortable. Maybe it makes you feel a little bit insecure, or maybe it makes you feel a little sad, or it makes you feel like you don't fit in, or this or that, or whatever it is that it makes you feel. That's nothing compared to the judgment of God. The judgment of God brings you to your knees. The judgment of God puts your mind in such a place that you have no choice but to give up. He beats you down until you're as weak as until you see how weak you actually are. Until your head is held low at all times and you never pick your head up, or never try to boast as if you're something special, or if you're somebody special. Because on your best day, most of us, on our best day, we're just, on our best, absolute best day, we're just a weak individual until we get to that strength. It says, they delight the king with their wickedness and princes with their lies. They are all adulterers, burning like an oven, whose fire the baker need not stir from the kneading of the dough till it rises. On the day of the festival of our king, the princes come inflamed with wine, and he joins hands with the mockers. Their hearts are like an oven. They approach him with intrigue. Their passion smolders all night. In the morning it blazes like a flaming fire. All of them are as hot as an oven. They devour their rulers. All their kings fall, and none of them calls on me. Their hearts are like an oven. Their passion smolders all night. In the morning it blazes like a flaming fire. A lot of us are completely trapped and taken over by our desires, mainly our fleshly desires. Our desire for sex, or our desire for food, or our desire for, those are the main two. If you look at it, the world, that's what most of our minds revolve around all day. What's the next thing I'm going to eat, and what's the next time I'm going to get some sexual pleasure? We don't think of love. We never think of joy. That's the crazy part, because I feel like a lot of people should take that time alone, that time to just look at their mind, so they can at least get a new idea of what happiness is. Because once you get a true sense of happiness and peace and contentment, the old way of living does not look so good anymore. Maybe it still entices you. Maybe it still tries to draw you in, but you know it won't fulfill you, because you've seen true happiness. It's like when you get to that point where you see, it's like there's a mountain, right? And you're at the bottom of the mountain. You don't know the view from the top. So from the bottom of the mountain, you feel pretty comfortable. You feel pretty good with what you're doing. But then you start to climb the mountain, and you get a little bit of a higher view, and you look and you're like, wow, like this is a lot more. This is pretty beautiful. It didn't look this good from down there. And then you climb a little bit more, a little bit more, a little bit more. You get to the way top of the mountain, and you look down from the mountain, and you have an even better view. This is kind of what the spiritual path is like. You get better views. You keep climbing, because it is a climb. It's not like you're just going to fly up. We can't fly, but we can climb. And climbing takes time. Climbing takes pain. Climbing takes strength. It takes weakness to be felt. It takes constant reaching upward and going upward and upward and upward until we get these better views. And these better views is what will free us more and more, because the better the view, the closer the truth is. And the closer the truth is, the harder it is for you to do something wrong. The closer you are to understanding, you no longer depend on what the world says, but you depend on your understanding. You trust your understanding. And you trust that to the end. Okay, it says, Ephraim mixes with the nations. Ephraim is a flat cake not turned over. Foreigners sap his strength, but he does not realize it. His hair is sprinkled with gray, but he does not notice. Israel's arrogance testifies against him, but despite all of this, he does not return to the Lord his God or search for him. Ephraim is like a dove, easily deceived and now calling to Egypt, now turning to Azura. When they go, I will throw my net over them. I will pull them down like birds of the air. When I hear them flocking together, I will catch them. It says, woe to them because they have strayed from me. Destruction to them because they have rebelled against me. Let's go ahead and go search up, make sure we know what this word means. Woe definition before I go. Woe means great sorrow or distress. Basically says great sorrow. They run into great sorrow and distress because they have strayed from me. They have strayed away from God. They have strayed away from the truth. They have trusted their sexual desires over God. They have trusted their own knowledge over God. They have trusted the world's words over God. It says destruction to them because they have rebelled against me. Destruction comes to all who go against the truth. Destruction comes to all who disobey the laws of this universe. This is also important because he says it doesn't only catch the wicked, it catches the innocent and turns them wicked too. That's what evil does. Not only to the wicked, but it catches the innocent and turns them wicked slowly but surely. He says, I long to redeem them, but they speak lies against me. They do not cry out to me from their hearts, but well up on their beds. They gather together for grain and new wine, but turn away from me. I train them and strengthen them, but they plot evil against me. They do not turn to the Most High. They are like a faulty bow. Their leaders will fall by the sword because of their insolent words. For this land will be ridiculed in the land of Egypt. All right, here we go. We're on Hosea. And again, if you don't have the time to listen to this whole video, I see it's now at 26 minutes, about to be 27 minutes. You don't have to hear this whole video all at once. You can come back, do 10-minute listens. Okay, Hosea chapter 8. Let's start at verse 1. Put the trumpet to your lips, an eagle is over the house of the Lord, because my people have broken my covenant and rebelled against my law. Israel cries out to me, oh, our God, we acknowledge you, but Israel has rejected what is good. An enemy will pursue them. Because Israel has rejected what is good, an enemy will pursue them. Because you have chosen evil, you will receive the wages of evil. Because you have not chosen good, you will not receive the wages of good. What are the wages of evil? The wages of evil are anxiety. The wages of evil are sadness, depression. The wages of evil are confusion. The wages of evil is a chaotic mind. The wages of evil is no peace instead of peace. What are the wages of good? The wages of good are joy, happiness, contentment, love. I'm just name those to name a few. All right, it says they set up kings without my consent. They choose their princes without my approval. With their silver and gold, they make idols for themselves. With their money, with their possessions, they make idols for themselves to their own destruction. It's basically saying we do it to ourselves. We get money, we get this, and then that money gives us access to more things, and we make idols of them. We see that money gives us access to these other things, so instead, a lot of people are on the right path. They're on the right path, and then it will come. It has to come whenever you're on the right path. Riches will come. Well, mostly, yeah. I'll say money will come. And a lot of people are on the right path, and then the money comes to them. And then they make idols for themselves. They stray away from God, and they use this money to basically enslave themselves to things because they can now do it. It says to their own destruction. They do this to themselves, and they destruct, basically self-destruct. It says, throw out your calf idol, O Samaria. My anger burns against them. How long will they be incapable of purity? How long will we remain impure? How long will we not seek purity? They are from Israel. This calf, a craftsman has made it. It is not God. It will be broken in pieces, that calf of Samaria. They sow the wind. They reap the whirlwind. The stalk has no head. It will produce no flower. Were it to yield grain, foreigners will swallow it up. Israel is swallowed up. Now she is among the nations like a worthless thing. For they have gone up to Sariah like a wild donkey wandering alone. Ephraim has sold herself to lovers. Although they have sold themselves among the nations, I will now gather them together. They will begin to waste away under the oppression of the mighty king. Though Ephraim built many altars for sin offerings, these have become altars for sinning. I wrote for them many things of my law, but they regarded them as something alien. They offer sacrifices given to me. They eat the meat, but the Lord is not pleased with them. Now he will remember their wickedness and punish their sins. They will return to Egypt. Israel has forgotten his maker and built palaces. Judah has fortified many towns, but I will send fire upon their cities that will consume their fortresses. Now we're at Hosea chapter 9. We're going to start at verse 1 and keep going. It says, Do not rejoice, O Israel. Do not be jubilant like the other nations, for you have been unfaithful to your God. You love the wages of a prostitute at every threshing floor. Threshing floors and wine presses will not feed the people. The new wine will fail them. They will not remain in the Lord's land. Ephraim will return to Egypt and eat unclean food in Asariah. They will not pour out wine offerings to the Lord, nor will their sacrifices please him. Such sacrifices will be to them like the bread of mourners. All who eat them will be unclean. This food will be for themselves. It will not come into the temple of the Lord. What will you do on the day of your appointed feast, on the festival days of the Lord? Even if they escape from destruction, Egypt will gather them, and Memphis will bury them. Their treasures of silver will be taken over by briars, and thorns will overrun their tents. The days of punishment are coming. The days of reckoning are at hand. Let Israel know this. That's a statement. And that's why I said I think it's so in line. It's so in line with America today. Israel was a nation that was given to adultery. They were having sex. People were beginning to praise sex as if it was a good thing, that men were beginning to become prideful in how many sexual partners they had, not seeing that they were only being slaves to their own desires, that their sexual desires did not make them strong, but instead their sexual desires made them weak. The fact that they have slept with many women and have had many women to sleep with does not indicate that they are strong men, or that they are that they should be proud of it, but instead it indicates that they are weak, but they don't see that weakness. They see their weaknesses as strengths. That's why knowledge is important, because once you can see that, oh wait, I look here, my sexual desire does not make me strong at all. It's actually a weakness that I have in this body, and there's no way to get away from it. So I have two options here. Either I give to this desire every moment, I keep giving to this desire over and over and over. Second option is I battle against it. A sexual desire comes up, I don't go and chase it, but instead of going out and chasing it, I say no, it's not going to happen. I say no, I choose a different way. It's kind of like curbing it, but it takes time. It's practice. Like with anything, you practice it more and more, you get better at it. So at the beginning, trying to stop this desire is hard, and you keep failing and you keep failing, but you fail so many times at it. You fail again, you fail again, you fail again, and you keep failing over and over until you don't fail no more. And that's with anything in life. No one has ever become successful without failing over and over and over. It's a part of becoming successful in the physical life, and it's a part of becoming successful in the spiritual life. Because you have to fail again and again. You're going to fail. You're going to keep failing. You have to kind of get used to that failure. You have to accept the failure as a way to success. So you keep failing and you keep failing and you keep failing and you keep giving to the sexual desire. You fail again. You fail for years, and then finally you get a breakthrough. And you have built some strength. But then you have to keep battling. It's like the flesh will never change. The flesh will remain the flesh forever. It will never change its ways. This is the way it will always be. So it's not that the sexual desires disappear. That's what a lot of people think. Okay, I go this way, I'll stop having the sexual desire so I don't have to worry about battling against it. It's actually quite the opposite. The sexual desires increase. Or they seem to increase at least. But you get better at not giving into them instead of you trying to depend on them to go away so that you don't have to get better at not giving into them. Instead of battling it and going into the battle, you want to completely step out of the room of battle so that you don't see what you have to face. It says, because your sins are so many and your hostility so great, the prophet is considered a fool and the inspired man is considered a maniac. This is interesting because even Jesus, when he was around back then, people thought he was crazy. People thought this guy was a madman. They thought he was a maniac. They thought something was wrong with him. So I says, because your sins are so many and your hostility is so great, you can't even see the truth. You can't even see that this guy is not a maniac, but he is instead he is a guide for us. You can't see that there's a guide right here in front of you. If you follow this guide will lead you the right way if you just follow what they say. Because when Jesus spoke, he didn't speak from his opinion. He never spoke from his opinion. He spoke from the truth. He spoke from what was true. And he didn't just, we always put Jesus above us. And it's dangerous because in that way we find creative ways of limiting ourselves. We say, okay, he did it, but he was Jesus. But you don't realize this was a man just like you. A man came to this earth. He stepped foot on this earth. He walked on this earth just as you walked. He had the same body you had, the same desires coming from that body. He had a mind just as you have a mind. But yet, even though he had the same exact things, he found a way to not give in to those desires of the body. And it's not because there's something special. Well, there is something special about him because not many can do it. It's a difficult thing to do, but it's not like he was given something you weren't given. That's all I want to say. Jesus was not given anything you weren't given. Everything that he had at hand, all the tools that he had at hand that he used to fight and battle and go closer and closer to the truth, you have those same tools in your tool bag. So don't offer yourself an excuse of falling short. All right, we go to the next. With Hosea chapter 9, verse 8. It says, the prophet along with my God is the watchman over Ephraim. Yet snares await him on all his paths and hostility in the house of his God. They have sunk deep into corruption as in the days of Gibeah. God will remember their wickedness and punish them for their sins. He says this again. He's repeated this. I noticed I said this earlier, just a few minutes ago. The same exact verse. God will remember their wickedness and punish them for their sins. He's outlining this. He's constantly saying this over and over. God will remember their wickedness. God doesn't forget a thing. Anything that you've done, any sin that you committed, when you do finally get unsatisfied with the life of, because we all will eventually at some point get unsatisfied with the life of indulgence, the life of giving in to the desires of the body over and over, and making your body your idol, and making your feelings your idol, and making your relationship your idol. Once you finally get tired of that, once that falls down like it has to fall down, and you choose to go the route of good, and you choose to turn away from that, and you look for joy, you search for freedom, you search for peace, you have a price to pay at that point. It's a good thing that you're turning that way, but you have to pay for what you have done. You have committed sins, and there's no sin committed that doesn't come with a payment. Everything we do that goes against the truth has a payment to be made. The truth demands a payment. It says, when I found Israel, it was like finding grapes in the desert. When I saw your fathers, it was like seeing the early fruit on the fig tree. But when they came to Baal Peor, they consecrated themselves to that shameful idol and became as vile as the thing they love. Let's look here. What does the word vile mean? What does the word vile mean? Wait, give me 1 second. Give me 1 second. Hello, you all. Welcome back to the YouTube.